Hello, and welcome back to Food Entertainment. Sorry for the long wait. It's just been a very difficult time lately. Don't worry, not as difficult as some people may think. But then as difficult as some people might actually think. My beautiful cat is no longer with us. He got very, very sick, and I just need to take some time to grieve. Had to put him down, so it was definitely not fun. So, back to business. Let's finish up the Lost Boys films real quick. So, The Lost Boys, The Thirst. From (2010). From Time Warner Premiere. Well, like The Lost Boys, The Tribe, this is a very televised, very overly bright and overly cool temperatured movie. But what I could say about this one is it feels much more like a sequel to the first Lost Boys film than it does to the dreadful second movie, although it does tie into it. But it is much more of a nod and kind of has the same atmosphere as the first movie. So it definitely comes across as a more satisfying sequel versus The Lost Boys, Lost Boys, The Tribe, which really didn't. I really like the fact that Corey Feldman is the main character in this movie and not somebody else. So it's really about the Frog Brothers. I really like the fight choreography in this movie. Is pretty good. It does have a much better balance of comedy, vampire lure, and action in it. I liked how they have fun with this film while trying to. And this film does not at all try to be a copycat of the original movie. It doesn't try to be a copycat of the original film at all. So it really does come across as his own movie, which is something that The Lost Boys, The Tribe didn't do. The Lost Boys, The Tribe really tried to come across as a kind of like a modern version of the first movie. This one doesn't. It really plays off more as a sequel to the first movie, which makes it much more satisfying. Corey Feldman really had fun in this movie. I can definitely tell you that Corey Feldman had a lot of fun in this movie, but something that I find very, very fun about this movie is within the movie itself. Edgar Frog, played again by Corey Feldman, does something that we all wish we could do to Hollywood right now. Well, maybe not so much right now, because at least they got back on track since this point in time, due to 2011's Fright Night, which is a film everybody hates, but people like me love, and this is pretty much it. One of our key characters in The Lost Boys, The Thirst is a novelist that writes romantic vampire books. Writes romantic vampire books that romanticizes vampires, much like the Twilight films did. And you'll actually see Edgar Frog picking on this woman and saying, I don't appreciate that, you're kind of lying. Vampires are not romantic, they're not sexy. And I kind of like that. This is something that I did, last year. When I reviewed 2011's Fright Night last year, I did the same thing. Only I was a little more colorful than, of course, Corey Feldman playing the role of Edgar Frog in The Lost Boys Thirst was. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. And also picks on reality television. Yeah, he picks on reality television. Saying, reality television is staged. It's all staged. It's not real. Sorry, I can't do Corey Feldman's voice. I have to be American, yes, but I I don't know what the hell my voice is. It's somewhat British, it's somewhat East German, it's somewhat American. It's like it's all over the place. But I cannot do Corey Feldman's voice, so sorry about that. Maybe I can go ahead and try to do this. I don't like your books. You make vampires seem sexy. That's about the best I can do right there. But let's go into the premise of the film. It fills in gaps that were left from The Last Boys to Thrive by explaining what actually happened to Alan Frog, Edgar Frog's brother. A few years back, before the events of The Last Boys to Thrive, he was infected and turned into a vampire, and has been kind of living off of animals and pretty much living as a complete reclusive individual that on purpose likes himself off from the outside world due to his infection. This happens after they rescue a politician from being Vampire Mill, obviously. The majority of the film picks up years later. Not too far after the events of The Last Boys to Thrive. And this mysterious woman comes around recruiting Edgar Frog's expertise to hunt vampires to rescue what she's saying this is her younger brother from this DJ known as DJ X. Who has these raves, and instead of giving drugs to the teenagers and drug addicts to go to these raves, he's actually getting them vials of vampire blood turn them into vampires. Pretty much creating way too many vampires in the world. And she finds a way to convince Edgar Frog that if you kill this vampire, it's over. Because he's the patriarch of the vampire virus. That obviously isn't the case, as we find out later. He gets customized weapons, gets ambushed by DJX quite a few times, dodges it. She also hires this reality adventurer. I forget his name, some weird, quirky name. Gus Van Das or some shit like that. And basically, they go to battle. And Edgar Frog has a little girlfriend who's like this bookworm nerd that joins him as well. And then they find out when they're in the crypt fighting and hunting the vampires. Of course, the vampire hunter is not all that great in this movie because he's been out of the game for a while, so he's kind of rusty. So Edgar Frog's a little rusty in the movie. The reality star gets, of course, easily killed because he thinks it's all fake. Then Alan Frog actually does come to the rescue. And they do kill DJ X just to find out that he's not the hit vampire after all. And that the so-called younger brother of this romanticizing novelist who hired Edgar Frog to hunt these vampires and rescue her so-called brother, apparently he is the alpha, the patriarch vampire, the one that created all of it. And he actually turns Alan Frog in some sort of trance-like state, because he's the master vampire, to attack Edgar. And of course, is disclosed in the last film. Edgar Frog is he's been what's the word? I'm trying to find the right word. Well, I can't remember the right word, so let's describe it. On the internet, he pretty much got blessed to be kind of like, you know, a man of God. So basically he can throw water on a vampire, any water, and see a few things doing this and turn into holy water. And that's essentially how he kills the alpha vampire. And of course everybody goes back to normal because there's no more vampires anymore after this. All the vampires in the entire bloody world are completely dead. We're not dead, but all the vampires in the world have been turned back into humans. So there's no more vampires anymore. Anyone who was a vampire has returned back into a human that, of course, was a half vampire. Ones that, of course, were full vampires are dead. There is a little bit of nod at the end of the movie, a cliffhanger, introducing the idea of werewolves or lycans, but it doesn't. There's never been a Lost Boys 4, so we'll probably never see any conclusion to that. So this is obviously the very last Lost Boys movie. And I'm kind of glad because I like this movie better than the second film, but neither one of the sequels are as good as the first film because they were so cheaply made and they look like televised movies and they're overly cool temperatured and overly digital looking. It's like recording something off of this camera. You know how I'm looking very blue and very digital, and I don't look like a 35mm film reel like I do when I record an old movies filter. That's why I use that filter, because it makes this look more like a production rather than making it look like some surreality like you're seeing right now. That's kind of what I mean. Which, of course, that already tells you about the video quality of the Blu-ray. So I always went into that right there. So that's basically the thing about the video quality of this Blu-ray, is it really does kind of look like that. And what's funny is, like the second film isn't 235 by 1 wide, but it does simply still has that overly cool temperatured, overly digital, bluish type of look to it. Audio, though, this is where it really wins. Lost Boys, The Tribe, had a very, very shitty Dolby Digital 5.1 track that was very flat and unsatisfying. This film has a 5.1 DTS HD Master Audio track. If you have a good system like mine, of course, that ups it to DTSX Natural Surround. So it really does, either way you're going to watch it on a 5.1 conventional DTS HD Master Audio source system or one like mine, you kind of still, you really feel all those massive effects. There's a lot of good amplified effects and surround effects, and that's really good use. They really did care when they actually made the sound for this movie. And well, that will pretty much do it for the Lost Boys trilogy. I will say that this right here is a bargain, because you will actually pay more money to buy all three of these individually rather than buying them in this digibook. So yeah, this digibook was a good purchase. You're not going to lose anything by buying this. That's not usually the case with digibooks. There's a lot of times where